Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner Evan Preparis, and we are back for another episode. I do not have Brenna on the line because she lives in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and can't get internet. But in true Strength and Speed fashion, I have stolen several guests from the Link Endurance Podcast. So my co-host today is none other than Miles Keller, the man who has appeared the most times on this podcast besides myself. So Miles, say hi.
I wear that belt proudly, sir. I love this podcast. I pale in comparison to Brenna. Fair enough, in pretty much every aspect of life, including looks. But I love to be on the show, man.
All right, and before we introduce our other guest, quick word from our sponsors. So this episode is brought to you by Hylete. So if you've never worn Hylete's clothing, I would definitely check them out. They are awesome. I have a pair of their shorts and their pants that are like the most comfortable things ever. That's pretty much the only pants and shorts I wear. My wife's always yelling at me to put on nicer clothes instead of workout clothes, but I can't because they're just too comfortable. Hylete is a sponsor of Endure the Gauntlet, so they donated a bunch of gift cards that I'll be giving away the weekend of Endure the Gauntlet in Tulsa, Oklahoma on August 24th through 26th. So big thanks to them. And again, their shorts and their clothing are just absolutely awesome. Also a huge fan of their bags. If you're looking for a great race bag, I've got the Icon, which I don't even think is available anymore, but that one's great, but they also have one that's a 6-in-1, so it's like a backpack / duffel bag / like briefcase. It's literally a little bit of everything, and I use it for not only races and for traveling, but also for work. It allows me to pack my computer in the smaller section and put that under my seat when I travel on the plane, and then I take my duffel bag, fill it with clothes, and throw that above. So if you're looking for a good backpack, check out Hylete. All right, so my other guest on the podcast, who I've also stolen from Link Endurance, is Victor David Quezada. So, Victor, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Evan, for having me on. You know, it's funny how you take two other people from a podcast. You know, you're doing like a Steeler from or a 2-for-1 deal.
Two birds with one stone.
Yeah,
that's right. So I scheduled this podcast with Victor, and when Victor answered the line, Miles was also there. So he is now on the podcast also.
Yeah, so we're in a couple of like messaging groups. So they're like, so does Miles answer your questions all the time? Because most of the time I don't. I forget to answer on Facebook Messenger, and it's like there's one guy named Sean. He always answers. Like, do you always answer Victor's questions? Miles does.
He's just jealous.
Yeah.
He's jealous of the bromance.
So it's pretty funny how Miles is on this podcast as well. So Sean, if you're listening, it did not happen on like accident. It was he did
on purpose.
Yeah, it's very on purpose.
He's my man, Sean. Go get your own.
All right. So for those of you who don't know who Victor is, going to read a quick couple of highlights from his bio. So he did his first obstacle course race in 2014, the Sacramento Super. Finished first in his age group, the 25 to 29 age group, and 6th overall against some really big names. So Hunter McIntyre, Cody Moak, Glenn Race, Ian Dyerly, and Ben Greenfield were ahead of him. So definitely a strong field and definitely did real well. He won $500 in his first elite race and first podium for Spartan race. Second in age group in 25-29 age group at OCR World Championship 2 years in a row, so 2015 and 2016, against Brian Gowiski, another great athlete, also a military veteran, who's also taken that title 3 years in a row now. He's also been on ESPN Battle Frog and Broken Skull Season 5 and the All-Star episode, which I'm sure Brenna is screaming at her phone right now because if there's one thing she loves to talk about, it's Broken Skull. But we're not going to talk about Broken Skull much this episode. We're going to talk about some other stuff. Specifically, looking at talking about terrain race, some of Victor's history, his partnership with a sponsor, the Spartan Pro team, and then his recent run of the Conquer the Gauntlet Team race. So, all right.
I'm kind of bummed out about that too, Evan. I think they may have canceled Broken Skull Challenge. I don't think there's another season.
I think so, too.
OCR is kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah, well, I hate to be like a spoiler here, but when Hunter won, I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure no one's going to beat him ever. Unless he had a bad race, because I mean he won the U.S. Championship, the 3K and the 15K, and is obviously that kind of event suits him because he's a bigger guy. He's got some muscle on him, and that Broken Skull selects for those who are good at wrestling and those who are bigger guys and carry weight. Now I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but Victor actually did real well and actually gave him a run for his money. So part of me was hoping that there would be maybe Hunter had a bad day. And you had a good day, and maybe you would top out, but I think you were a little bit behind.
Yeah, it was just a little bit, but it's funny how we're still talking about Broken Skull now.
Wait, no one came closer to beating Hunter's time. You were 40 seconds away, correct?
55 seconds, 50 seconds.
55, the closest anyone's coming to beat that time. Do you beat yourself up over that, coming so close to taking the...
Yeah, because I just feel like I should have been in better shape for that kind of stuff, because I was training for it, but like it wasn't like as much training as I should have been doing.
Yeah, you could see Hunter watching as a watch.
Yeah, I was in the middle of the process of moving to Texas, so it was like a lot was on my mind at the time. So, but yeah, I did my best what I had, and came up short.
Yeah, you put up a hell of an effort, and obviously had a great showing since you were back in the All-Star episode. So it was good. I'm actually not a huge fan of the show, but I would watch it religiously only because all my friends were on it. So it was cool seeing you on there.
Thanks.
You too, Miles. I like seeing you there too.
Yeah, I like it. I made the outtake.
I forget you're on there. So,
yeah, I know. I don't talk about it much, but yeah, I was on the same episode you were.
Forgot.
And hey, I'll tell you something that was amazing about Victor, seeing how we have him on the podcast today. Most guys, especially in endurance sports, we don't have any kind of contact, right? We're not wrestling each other. We're not hitting each other. We don't have any kind of background. Victor, if I remember correctly, had never wrestled another man leading up to this, and the dude he went up against was, phenomenally fit. I believe had a little bit of experience, and he handled him, man. It was completely impressive, and that was all instinct. He had no training, any kind of wrestling background. Whereas, I mean, hell, I may have won, but I also was taking a little bit of training right as soon as I found out I was going to be on the show. I happened to work with another guy that has a background in wrestling. He started teaching me all the different techniques, and Victor just went in blind. Had you ever even seen the show before?
Yeah, I watched the show. Miles,
okay.
How else do you think I applied for the show?
Well, but you didn't train any wrestling.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I don't
Well,
know what
you think if you watched the show, you've been like, I need to practice wrestling. I'm going to have to wrestle another grown-ass man.
I was more worried trying to beat the Skullbuster. That was my whole goal. Like, if you watch the beginning of the episode, he was like, you, blue shirt, what are you here for? I'm here to win the Skullbuster. And he called me out, Steve called me out saying, so you're like, you're already thinking about the Skullbuster and you already have these people in front of you. You better keep your mind straight, blah, blah, blah. I forgot what he said, but I already had my mindset on the Skullbuster. I wasn't even thinking about, like, the first, second, or third round, So I already had my mindset, Miles. I didn't even think about the wrestling.
Just because your mindset doesn't mean you're going to win a wrestling match. That was incredible, man.
All right, Miles has derailed my podcast for like the 50th time. So let's get back on track.
We do this a lot. I'm surprised you still let him on.
He just forces his way on. I just called you specifically, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here too." So
I'm entitled. I named my first child Evan after Evan, so I get to come on the podcast.
Yeah, his child's name is Evan Victor. So
good, perfect child. That child will be perfect. All right, let's get down to some of the topics we wanted to talk about. So. Okay. I've always known you, when you see certain athletes, they become associated with certain brands, and I've always known you as, like, one of the terrain race guys. So can you take me through and kind of what was your involvement with terrain race? Did you work for them, or did you just run their races a lot, or what that deal was?
So I started working with them in 2016. My first race with them working was in Tucson. But I first got in contact with them in 2015 when I did the Las Vegas race. And, I got hooked on it because I never done anything like mandatory completion. Actually, the week after terrain race was OCR Worlds in Ohio.
Yeah.
So it was my first race.
Kingstone,
Yeah, it was my first race doing mandatory completion. So it was kind of cool that I had kind of some experience because it was I never done anything besides Spartan race. So yes, I did work with them. I did build crew with them. I built all the obstacles. So everyone that touched all the obstacles, I did build. Mostly the big ones, not like the truss ones. I did mostly the wood ones. So, but I always had conflict when I did work and race because I could see both points of the story of athletes saying that I know the course and I built the course, and yes, I could see it. I could see it both ways of the athletes getting mad at me, but like they still have to run the race and still have to beat me. I still ran. I did that for 2 years, train race, and
yeah. Well, when you win by like 5 minutes, whether you put together the course, it doesn't make much of a difference. This is a really good topic, Evan. That would have been good to talk to Brenna about because I know Brenna and Napalm both work for Conquer the Gauntlet and had the same flack about, hey, they're building the course and they're racing on it competitively. Does that give them an advantage? There's two different sides to that argument, but it'd be interesting to get their input on that too.
And I totally understand both sides, because they could say I know the entire course, and I did know the course because I built the course, or I built the obstacles, and I knew where all the obstacles were at, but they still had to beat me in running, and it's not always like I won the race. I mean, in 2016 in Georgia, I went against Yuri Forrest, and he beat me by like 4 minutes.
Oh, wait, Yuri Forrest did a terrain race?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. But they changed that recently, right? They no longer allowed that in a terrain race. They will not allow you anymore to build and race.
Yeah, so that happened for a year until they changed the rules in Virginia, and I was able to race and run. But they changed it in the rules saying that I used to pre-run the course to make sure the marking was all good for all the athletes so we wouldn't get lost. So I was one of those people that pre-ran the course to make sure everything was okay. But I was not allowed to do that anymore, and I was totally fine with it. And they also put in like you couldn't practice on the obstacles, which I never did anyway. I never practiced on any obstacles to, get an unfair advantage. So, but yeah, I technically still kind of work for them, but I don't work for them anymore. I'm still in contact with them, but I don't. I'm not involved this year with them since I had the baby.
Evan, did you do your first terrain race this year?
So I did my very first one was the relay, the 24-hour relay I did with you, Miles.
That's right.
That was the first time I met Victor, I think. And then my first solo terrain race was this year in Tulsa. So yeah.
So they took the rig game to the next level, man. I'm really loving the difficulty of the rig. I'd say on par with say Conquer the Gauntlet Savage Race. I feel like terrain's obstacle difficulty wasn't known for that before. But what do you think of the rig when you raced there in Tulsa?
So definitely easier than Conquer the Gauntlet, but they did definitely step it up a level. Like I was expecting more of a Warrior Dash type of race, and it was not. Like none of the obstacles were super hard or super difficult, but putting them back to back, and then there was there's a lot of decent ones that made you tired, and running essentially like a time trial doing all those obstacles definitely got your heart rate high. So I was impressed with the terrain for like my expectations were exceeded going into it. I'll say that.
I'll bet you any money a lot of people. You say that a lot of the obstacles weren't as difficult, but you'd be amazed how many people in the elite field were missing. I want to say Tarzan, but that's what we call
the monkey balls, right?
In Conquer the Gauntlet, the monkey balls. Yeah, they're the 4 ropes in a row.
The Tarzan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Tarzan. A lot of people could not get through that, man. That was quite difficult for most.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Something I would go back to if it fit into my schedule a little bit better.
Yeah, I have always, when I was building it, I have always tried to make the rig tougher. But the owner, it was always like, because they don't want backup on obstacles. And since we had like a smaller rig, it wasn't a very big rig, and we get like thousands of people going, they don't want held up at obstacles. So I could see their point too, but I have always wanted to make the rig challenging because I mean, Terrain is starting to get some of those athletes because they do pay out. They're one of the smaller companies that do pay out. It's not like Warrior Dash or Rugged Maniac are paying out. They're paying out money for first place, second place, and third place. So I have always wanted to try to make it challenging, not easy, just for runners to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fast field when I ran in Terrain. I mean, in Tulsa. I think we had 22 seconds. The gap between I came in fourth, and it was between second and sixth place. There was a 22-second gap. So it was It was like stupid. It was stupid fast and really close. All right, moving along. So, since you kind of worked for Terrain, was there ever like a Terrain ambassador or pro team? I think I recall. I don't know if it was you or someone else. I think I recall seeing like people hashtagging Terrain under that. Was there ever an ambassador or pro team?
I think the owner, his name is Jerry. I think he tried to do an ambassador program last year, and I'm not sure if it's like fully still going, the ambassadors, but I know there's some people that are Terrain ambassadors. A pro team, I want to say yes and no. I want to say like there's people that ran Terrain races because they're back in 2013, 2014, there were only like 3 or 4 races a year until 2016 where they blew up to like 20 races, 30 races. So I want to say yes, back in the day there was, because there was so many races, but I want to say no as well because it wasn't official.
Gotcha. So speaking of pro teams, you are on the Spartan Pro Team Select. How did that come about?
If you know who Joe Di is, he actually messaged me on Instagram about something that Spartan Race is working up, and he wants to know if I want to be a part of it. And I was like, sure. And then I think like maybe a couple weeks later, I gave him my email. I gave him my phone number, and he told me, is it a good time to call? And I called him, and then he told me about they're doing like an off branch of like the pro team, and it was called like the select team. So I was like, I mean, it's not that like I want, like, of course, like you want to be recognized as like a official Spartan Pro team, not like how Ryan Wood say it. Even though I know you guys have some conflicts, but like Ryan Wood said, like the JV team, and I kind of feel like that, but I mean, I kind of want to be recognized like I am good enough to be on the pro team. So Joe Di approached me on Instagram and messaged me, and I mean, that's how I got the thing started. Gave him my email, and he gave me the contract, signed it, and I'm on the Spartan Select team.
Cool. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. There's every player on the New York Yankees or name any sports team is not paid the same, right? So like there's varying degrees of benefits and pay and perks based off your level. So I do not see it as a JV team, and I think maybe some people near the very top of the sport might see it that way, but I mean, I think most of the sport sees it as you guys are the best in that field, and I think that's awesome. So was there any hesitation or doubt on your side? I heard that a couple people turned it down.
Well, first I said yes in my head, and I at one point I did kind of say, like, I was kind of going back and forth on it, because like when I do other races series as well, not just only Spartan Race. I mean, I do like Tough Mudders, I do Savage Race, Terrain races, Conquer the Gauntlet now. I just don't do one race brand. And one thing I do kind of hate when I do go to other race brands is wearing other company shirts to their brand. Like in Oklahoma City, when I ran the Conquer the Gauntlet, for the podium's sake, it was kind of like in the contract for Spartan Race. Like, if you do like podium at other race series, I mean, try to wear our shirts, to promote, and I felt kind of bad wearing it to David Main Prize, going on the podium for Conquer the Gauntlet wearing a Spartan shirt. So I felt kind of bad, because I'm always one of those people, like, I don't wear other people's brands at other people's venues. I'd be respectful.
For these races.
Yeah.
So you work for these races too, and it is there has been a bit of controversy about this. Yeah. It has been very taboo in the past. Evan, what is your take on it, man? Because I mean I don't see anything wrong personally, in my opinion, in wearing other race brand shirts to other races, because I feel like all OCR athletes are, doing all the races. Like here in Texas, I'm doing every single different race brand locally. It's not like one person is going to find out about this other one and been like, oh, this other race, well, I'm going to stop doing terrain because I found Savage race. How do you feel about it, man?
I mean, I have no problem with it. So on a certain level as an athlete, if you're getting perks or sponsorship or money or whatever deal you have worked out with another company and you're wearing theirs at another race, again, you're like, you may not be an official employee, but you're kind of an employee of that company. So I see. Sorry, hold on a second. My daughter is trying to pull my headphone jack out of there. Give me a second. So I see nothing wrong with wearing that. And then as a, if you're just a fan of another series, I also see nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, you're at that other series, so you're showing your support by physically being them, by having a ticket to their event, and by running their race. So, if your favorite is Conquer the Gauntlet and you want to wear that shirt to another brand's race, or vice versa, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying though, but I've always been kind of awkward just doing that. Like, I just do it personally, but I don't care if others wear it or not. But I feel kind of uncomfortable on wearing it,
Yeah, and I'll say one thing about Victor I think has been really cool. That as I've gotten to know the guy, he's extremely humble. So when it comes time to being either on the select or on the normal pro team, he never looked at it like that. He's never been like, oh, look, I'm too good to be on the select team. Extremely humble. One of the most humble elite athletes I've ever came across, and I've interviewed quite a few.
So I'll also say that it's also how you behave, right? So if you show up and you're just wearing another brand, and then, that's the end of it, that's one thing. But if you're walking around essentially trash-talking the race you're currently at, and acting inappropriate, that's a different situation there.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
you talk about an awesome little girl. I know you just did that longer race that you dominated this weekend, Evan. I know you probably weren't going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. You did an incredible job, and one of the coolest things is seeing the pictures of your daughter there, rooting you on. That's dad goals, right? Hashtag dad goals. What an incredible little girl. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife's really good about getting some really good pictures of me and my daughter while I race. So I apologize for the background noise, but we'll edit some of this out, but I'm sure some of it's going to squeeze in there.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, when girls, it's not going to end anytime soon, Evan. When girls get the giggles, they get girl giggles, and it's infectious. Like, they can't stop it. They can't control it. It's going to go on for about another 30 minutes.
We're going to take so everyone stay on the line. I'm going to take a quick break and give her a snack. All right, we're back. All right, so let's continue on. You did your first CTG this year, so from an outsider who's typically done Spartan and Terrain and some of the other brands, what was your first impressions coming to a CTG?
So I've always known, when I lived in California, I always knew about California. Conquer the
I would hope so.
I always knew about Conquer the Gauntlet because I always seen people post about it. I've always wanted to do these race series that were in back east and Midwest. So when I had the chance to actually do one this year, I was stoked about it. But also it's kind of scary too, because I knew that the infamous Pegatron will be there. And so when I first went there, I was, it's like a first time racer, kind of nervous, but not really. I was excited to actually get the race started.
Well, you should give the caveat that I talked about it nonstop. As soon as he moved here, I was talking about Conquer the Gauntlet all the time, hyping it up. So it wasn't really a fair first impression.
Yeah, so I knew about Conquer the Gauntlet, and I was excited to finally do one, and, man, I fell in love with it. It was just like another Battle Frog, and you know how Battle Frog was if you did them back in the day. I mean, it just brought you back how hard the rigs were, how hard the obstacles were, and it just brought me back to those days, and it was so much fun, and I'll just do all of them if I have a chance to, I would do all of them.
Yeah, I like what you said about it makes you feel like a first-time racer because, even going to some other series, like maybe one that's like a one-off and not an actual race series, I still get that same feeling too, right? Because you don't know there's no rules governing how hard they make the obstacles or what they put on the course.
Yeah.
So I really like it because it pushes you out of your comfort zone and forces you to grow as an athlete and as a person.
Yeah, so Dallas was the first one, and it was about an hour from my house, so it was pretty fun to have the family there, too, and have my son there, and just like how your daughter goes to your races, if they're close, or I take him to everywhere to a race. You know, he's always there.
Did you cross the finish line with him?
That was in Tough Mudder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I try to bring him to every single race that I can, so it's an experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, so in addition, you did real well you did 2 CTGs this year. And what were your placements again? I believe you won both.
Dallas, I got second. Oklahoma City, I got first. And then the team race, we haven't talked about it, but I got first there as well.
Awesome. So very impressive. Definitely a strong start, considering most people do not do well at their first CTG. So big congratulations on that. I think that speaks to what kind of athlete you are. So moving on to the team race, give me some thoughts. Well, explain, for those listening, explain what the team race consisted of and kind of what your thoughts on it were.
So the team race consisted of 4 people. One of them had to be a girl. So our female is Randy Lackey, which she pretty much dominates the Conquer the Gauntlet races. Don't give any bad credit to Alexander Walker. She's a great, phenomenal racer as well, but both of them head-to-head, you know, it's like back and forth, you know. But Randy, I think...
Brenna and Randy would normally be back-to-back.
Yeah. So, but I had Randy Lackey, I had Trevor Zimmerman, and Freddie Thompson. But Freddie Thompson hurt himself on the Conquer the Gauntlet on Saturday in the men's elite race. He pulled a bicep, so our substitute man was no other than Benny Guilford.
Sweet Benny. Just so happened to be there. Can you imagine the other teams when... So, I'm a little slower than Vic. Having me on the strength and speed team kind of evens the field a little more, but having Vic takes my place kind of tips the favors more in the strength and speed team, and then Freddie gets replaced with Benny, and Benny's a little faster, and it really tips the thing. Can you imagine how the other teams felt when that happened? It was like, oh god, that's not fair, you know?
Yeah, that team definitely got a lot stronger in the last couple of months. So, not surprisingly, you guys won, which is awesome. Super happy. You're representing strength and speed. And, that was awesome to see. So, take us through some of the obstacles. About how long was it, and what kind of obstacles did you guys face?
So, it was about, I think it was another half mile longer than the original course, so it came out to like 4.8 miles. The team obstacles, there's some funny ones. So we had like a water balloon launcher, was like with a tennis ball, and we had to hit a target from maybe like 25, 30 yards out. We had 3 people on the launcher and 1 person fetching the balls if we were trying to hit a target. So it was pretty funny how innovative those the obstacles were. Like, it was kind of funny.
Had an obstacle.
Yes.
The vast majority of the obstacles were not something you're going to have
Yeah.
in a normal race. These are all team specific. And Brenna was sweet enough to be able to get it live casted. So if anyone wants to go back and watch a video of this absolutely crazy race, it's all on her Brenna the Red Beast Calvert's Facebook page. Check it out. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Nick.
But they also had a puzzle they had to put together of the Conquer the Gauntlet symbol that they have on their website or on their race. So you had to put that together as a puzzle. So that was pretty stressful because everyone's there at the same time. We're trying to put a puzzle together and we're like stressing like, no, this piece goes here, this piece goes there. We had a slip wall with no ropes. It was about what do you think, that's 14, 15 feet high or something like that?
Yeah, so Continental Divide without the ropes for Conquer the Gauntlet fans.
Yes, okay, sorry.
Sorry. People saw it, USOCRC.
Yeah.
Yep. Good one. The one under the awning in the USOCRC in Texas.
Yes. Right next to the rig that was in there.
Skull Valley, yeah.
Skull Valley, there you go. And so we had to build a human pyramid that's going up. So Benny was the base. I think Trevor Zimmerman was second, or I was second on top of Benny, and then Randy Lackey went up third, and then we had Trevor Zimmerman went up third, and then Randy Lackey went up fourth. So that was pretty interesting because I never done anything like that before. And then
Benny's got that experience from being on the Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge 2 years in a row when they won the first year, and then did well the second year too. So I think that probably played to your advantage a little more.
Yeah, he told us how we were going to do it. We actually practiced laying on the floor, just laying flat on the ground, like how we're going to do it. So it was actually pretty experience on how Benny knew what to do already. So I think that gave us maybe a little bit more advantage on that. I could tell you what, the most stressful obstacle I've ever done in my life, and probably won't ever do again and actually they probably will have it at Tulsa. It was called, I don't even know what it's called, to tell you the truth. It's probably called stressful. That thing was, so you're in a circle holding a rope, and each person has a rope, and there's a circle plate in the middle, so we each have to pull tension on the ropes and keep this platform raised in the middle. And we had blocks that were behind us, so each person had a letter of blocks, and we had to spell Conquer backwards. So we had to start with the R and then go E, then U, then or C. I think.
No, you had to
Q,
spell Conquer backwards.
So,
and it was. This is so. I'm now realizing just how horribly hard this is to explain on a podcast.
Yeah.
You have to visually see it.
Yeah.
But it
There's a still of Randy Lackey putting the C on top on the CTG Pro Team Instagram page, for those of you who are trying to explain. But it's blocked, so you're spelling it backwards because you're building it from the ground up.
Yeah.
So you're starting with the R because that's the lowest part of the block, and it's spelled, it's written vertically going downward.
But that's not the hard part. The hard part is depending on 4 people to hold a rope taut. They must have been having it up in the air for, I don't know, 12 minutes.
It was 7 minutes we timed. I looked from when we lifted up the plate to when we put it down. It was 7 minutes.
Perfectly still.
And that you're the winning team, right? So the average team is slower, so they're going to be holding it for longer.
Yeah, and that was the most stressful I ever been in a race. It was that obstacle, because if we dropped it, we had to start all over. And we already wasted so much time. Well, not wasted time, but we don't want to do it again.
Yeah, you only have so much endurance in your arms to keep that rope taut. And you started seeing teams come up with different strategies, one of which the people would wrap the rope around their waist.
Yeah.
So they can just use their body weight to brace it. But keep in mind, the person who has the block needs to slowly creep towards
the middle.
Yeah, the middle, while keeping the line taut. If it fell at all, you'd have to restart completely over.
And poor Randy had the last letter.
She had the last letter. She almost, you can see her in the video, go back, and man, she kept it together. It's an awesome job for her. I love her to death.
Yeah.
She almost dressed it, man. I was yelling at my phone, don't drop it, don't drop it. You do not want to restart that obstacle. And man, she held it taut.
You were watching the World Cup, huh?
Yeah, the World Cup was on, but I had my headset and my face glued to the phone because I care more about Conquer the Gauntlet than the World Cup.
I think that's a good call. I may be biased, but
yeah.
So, and then we completed that. I think there was another team that completed it without dropping it. I think every team dropped it besides us and one other team. So we completed that, and then we had to carry the log. Maybe, I don't know how long that was. I want to say a half mile to a mile carrying this log over obstacles, which it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, I mean, it was pretty cool that we had Benny on the team because we had to go over the 5-foot walls. So, and some obstacles, we needed his height, the what's the 12-foot wall?
The Great Wall.
The Great Wall.
But, no, you already did that. You didn't take.
I know, but it was before that, though.
Yeah, before.
It was nice to have Benny as some height, on Conquer, on the Divide Conquer. What was it?
Yeah. The thing there too is that Benny probably took the blunt of that. So imagine everyone to carry this heavier log. It's not too heavy. It's probably 120 pounds, but it's longer. And if you are taller, by definition, you are going to take the blunt of that log. Just because we had, especially last year, we had a very good balance of me, Randy, Trevor, and Freddie are all about the same height. So we were able to rest it on our shoulders a little easier. Now imagine one person is taller.
6'2".
Yeah, 6'2", like Benny. You're going to take the blunt of it. So Benny took it like a champ.
Yeah, good sport by him.
Yeah, those log carries, they make you do some military training, and I'm whopping 5'6", I make out pretty good on those. Some of the taller guys who aren't doing so well.
Yeah, you'll be a Randy Lackey. All the guys are holding it, and then she's just like pretending like she's holding it. Yeah, she's got the hand on it and like not even doing anything. But she was a good sport, and she did help.
I bet she could have done the rig twice. For us last year, she did the rig really fast.
Pegatron?
Yeah, no, not Pegatron.
The rig.
Yeah,
so, but yeah, and we did that. The log over the 5-foot walls. We dropped the log there, and then we had to do Pegatron. So the funny thing about Pegatron that for the team race, only there's 3 obstacles where only 2 people had to finish the obstacle, but everything else everyone has to finish. So it was the rig, which is what's it called? Tarzan swing for them. Tarzan, Stairway to Heaven, and Pegatron were the 3 obstacles that only 2 people had to finish. So Randy Lackey went through Pegatron one time. Trevor Zimmerman fell off. Benny Gifford fell off. And then the funny thing, how Randy said, "Do I have to do this twice, guys?" So and then I went, and then I finished it. So we don't have to make 3 guys that failed it, and then a girl completes it twice. Feel like we're so low. So I completed it. So I held it for the guys. And then the cool thing about the end, that when they had the monkey bars, they only had half the set of the monkey bars. So at the end, we had to lachey to a bell to hit it to finish.
Yeah, I love that ending. I thought that was such a cool ending.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to actually see. It looked further away from the ground, but when you got up there, it wasn't as bad, But, I mean, it was pretty cool how all 4 of us had a lane, and we were up top, and we all swung and hit the bell. Not the same time. There was 3 people that went. I was the last person up there because I didn't want to all fall at the same time and land on someone.
Who was at the top that was like, okay, come on, just hurry up and hit the bell? Everyone is starting to lose their grip because they just got through Megatron.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, I love that team race where everyone, like, you can't complete an obstacle without only 3 people. You have to have everyone there because, if one gets hurt, you have to go as a team, Either one gets hurt and everyone quits, or we carry that one person and we try to finish as a team. But yeah, it was really fun though.
So the next Conquer the Gauntlet team race is going to be at Tulsa the same weekend as Endure the Gauntlet. Are you going to be there for that one?
Yeah, I'll be there for both days.
Awesome. And then for other team events going on, NORAM is obviously going to have a team event this year. Like last year, they did not have one for the U.S. Championship, but they're doing one this year. It's going to be on Sunday. And little insider background information that leaked to me. They are looking at using more than one team obstacle. Like I know at OCR World Championship last year, it was just the slip wall. Yeah. But they're talking about adding in several more obstacles. And you have Marc Ballas, the race director / course designer, who's working on building some unique stuff for that. And if you don't know who Marc Ballas is, owner, race director, Green Beret Challenge. So again, he's used to the multiple person team obstacles and making things challenging for the team.
Don't give that man any logs.
Yeah.
All the obstacles of Green Beret are all logs. If you don't give him any logs, he won't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So I know most of the kind of the top OCR athletes in the sport have a large endurance running background, and you do not have an endurance running background.
No.
Kind of take us through what your background is and why are you still able to compete with some of these top guys, even though you don't have that large base?
Well, I mean, I played baseball most of my life. So, I mean, if an endurance background is playing baseball and throwing a ball, I mean, I could out-pitch anyone. But, I mean, just like anyone that comes to a sport that hasn't been doing, doesn't have any injuries. Some of these people probably have injuries like hurt ankles, hurt knees, or, they're nursing an injury. I never had any of that. So I think coming in kind of almost like fresh into the sport, like how Rhea did. She didn't have any kind of running background. and she came into the sport like dominating, and I feel like I could do the same thing too, but I'm not doing it at that level yet. So I haven't reached my potential of where I could be. But I mean, yeah, I never had a running background. I never had anything. So it's like I've been doing everything all by myself. But yes, I've had like help from like friends, like, hey, what do you do? You know, had help from Ryan Kempson, Marc Botras, you know, just give me like the Moralia brothers, you know, just giving me a little insight here and there, like what to do. But I mean, the past 4 years, I've been doing everything myself. So I mean, I think if I did have help, I think I could be where I'm at. But I like to do everything myself because then you learn things that you learned over the years. So I think you learn from that, you know. But it's nice to have a little bit of help.
Yeah, I like figuring things out on my own. I feel like you learn the lessons a little bit harder and it sticks better, even if it sometimes takes a little bit longer.
Yeah. So
what would be one piece of advice you could give someone who's transitioning in from another sport?
Just be patient. You know, I know a couple people that are coming from a running background, but they don't have very much strength. So they get frustrated. Like they can see that they're fast, but they can't complete like obstacles, and they just have to be patient at the process of being this consistent at their training and include like strength training. So they have base for running, they don't have base for strength. So I came in with strength already, but I didn't have a base for running. So running is probably, if you're not used to running takes the longest, and there's no shortcut from it. And you have to take the time on doing your mileage and, you know, putting the time in and running, you know. But I mean, just be patient. That's the only thing I could do is say to other people that want to get faster. Like they always ask, like, what do you do for training? How do you get so much? How'd you get so much faster? It's like, just take the time. You know, it really does take time to actually build up that endurance part of this running. You know, and I've taken the time for it. You know, I sometimes I have rushed it, but it never works out, and I just go back to square one to what I was doing before, and it worked out. You know, some people have it, some people don't, but you know, I think the people that do have it, it comes naturally, and it came naturally for me. So, and some people that don't have it naturally, they had to work a little bit harder just to get it. And once they get it, it's like, boom, they're there. You know, but it takes a little bit longer for them. So,
yeah, I love that answer. I'm a big fan of patience and consistency. As someone who ran their first marathon in 2003 with like a time of close to 4:30, and now I can run sub 3. You know, it was built up over a lot of years of long miles and hard workouts. So,
yeah,
big fan of that answer. Love it.
Yeah, you have to be consistent. I mean, you could be good at one race, and like me, I could do any race series out there. I just don't stick to one race series. I could do any race series out there and be good, consistent. And people that only stick to one race series but kind of go do another race series, and you know, I like being consistent and doing everything. You know, not just one thing.
Yeah, I think showing that diversity and that consistency is very impressive.
Yeah.
Versus just getting really good at one series and just honing in on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I would also say that I think for those people who are transitioning in from another sport, if you have that running base first, I think learning to do the strength maneuvers is easier than it is to build up your running.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm still just building up the running. You know, I know I'm fast, but I know I'm not as fast as the other people. But trying to build up that running and trying to get just a little bit faster than them, because you're trying to play catch up to them, that they've been running probably a lot of their lives, and you're just playing catch up to them. So it's like they're getting faster, you're getting faster, so you're staying like consistent with them, but you can't make that faster step to get to them. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, everyone's improving. If everyone's improving at the same rate, you can't tell if you're improving or falling behind or what the deal is.
Yeah, so sometimes it's frustrating because I could see a lot of people proving that I used to be, but they improved so much. Like his name's John Penland. He's 18 years old, and he's
improved. Oh, that kid's phenomenal.
Dude, yeah, he's improved so much, and it's crazy. It's like, but I know that he is doing it full time, and I think it's easier for him because, for one, he's
a lot more time than working full time and having a baby.
Yes, that too.
He's still peaking. He's way young.
He's still fortunate, a kid. You know, he has the time. He still lives at home. He could do whatever. Like, he has the time to train. And, you know, some people that don't have, like, I have time to train, but not as much time as probably as him. You know, he could sleep 10 hours. I could sleep 4. You know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, good. Hey,
you know, and it's him. And I have nothing bad to say against John. I love John. I love his dad too, and I saw him this weekend. And like, I mean, I love everyone that's improving. You know, and that's when you know that sport is getting so much faster, and these people are getting so much faster.
Yeah, and good for him for starting early.
Whereas, you know, hey man, maybe we didn't catch on to fitness or sport till we're a little older, and now he's gonna reap the seeds he sowed.
Yeah.
He's still peaking. He's going to have a much larger base than most people from starting. By the time he hits our age, I strongly believe he's like the future Atkins, Albin, a guy super young like that. You know, we just interviewed Johnny Luna Lima. He's 22. These are all guys that are very young, guys like Cole Shorts.
And VJ Jones.
Yeah, VJ Jones.
So VJ Jones is a major one. He's only 19 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This will all be the Atkins, Albins of the future. Yeah. They are the future of the sport. But you know, when we talk about the future of the sport, me and Vic are more concerned about Evan and Lucan. We're we have tons of conversations all the time about, look at the quads on this boy. This boy's gonna be climbing those hills. You see those hams?
We're derailing the
Yeah, I'm derailing it again. I'm doing it again.
I'll say this though. The one thing I do find, so they probably have more time again because you live with your parents and stuff like that. But as a 19-year-old, my priorities were not training and running races. Like, I worked out, but I had a lot of other things on my mind than that. So to me, the fact that you can stay focused as a 19-year-old on racing is impressive to me.
But that's good. That's good for them because when kids when they get into a young sport like gymnastics, if you get them in really young and they excel, their brain processes so much faster, and they get better, you know, and they become professionals like 12, 13 years old, you know. And for them, they started 16, you know, their mind's still developing, and like ours are kind of stopping, you know. We did kind of stop, but I mean, for them, they're still absorbing the information and at a faster rate, and they excel so much faster. You know. So
right on.
Yeah.
Back to you personally. Now, I know you have an interesting diet. I'm tracking that you're vegan. So why make the switch? I use diet in the term of what you eat daily, not like I'm doing this for the next week.
Well, it's a lifestyle. I don't.
Hey, you can give him crap, Evan, and everyone else does. He gets teased about it all the time.
So I guess why make the switch to vegan? How long have you been vegan? And kind of take us through that.
So I've been, first I turned vegetarian. I still remember the date, September 6th of 2015. I just wanted to try it, you know, just try something else, you know. And then that's when OCR really took a toll, took into effect, 2015. I wanted to try something else. So I went cold turkey, became vegetarian, stopped eating meat. And then I wanted to try vegan that same year. So I went vegan maybe 2 months later in November, and I went vegan for a year, about a year and a half. And then I went back to vegetarian for a couple months, and then I went full vegan back. And it's been over close to a year, just about a year now, year and a half. So I was vegetarian for a little bit, and then I went back to vegan. So probably full-time vegan, I've probably been 2 years now.
Do you feel that it's helped your performance, or is it just something that you feel that it's healthier, or you just enjoy that lifestyle?
Hard to say, because I'm vegan now, and if I went back to regular eating everything, and maybe I would have went back to vegan, I could tell you, but I don't remember that transition of eating meat and then going straight into vegetarian and vegan. I don't remember how I felt. So yes, I probably feel way better, and yes, probably my performance has peaked more. But I mean, I couldn't remember how I felt in between that transition of vegetarian vegan. But I mean, I feel healthy. I mean, I probably feel healthy just as Miles. I don't know. But I mean, I know there's more health benefits to being vegan. Eating raw vegetables. Getting actual daily.
Some of the greatest athletes in the sport. Susanna. Oh man, I'm gonna mess up her name.
I can't.
Oh, we need it.
I can't remember.
We won't even
Spartan world champion.
Embarrass ourselves. Susanna, she won the European Championships for the women recently. She's raw vegan as well. A lot of people are raw vegan. I think it takes a lot of discipline to be able to do. And I'm not vegan or vegetarian. I love my meat, but Victor has turned me on to some really cool meals that taste really good. And if it's healthy for you, why not, man? You can eat this stuff and not be not have to live the vegan lifestyle. Like in the morning times now, he brings bags of carrots. We just sit I used to have steak and egg tacos for breakfast every day, and now I just have carrots. And then we got some peanut butter. We dipped the carrots in the peanut butter, and that's fantastic. But there's other really cool recipes out there that guys don't. For everyone out there is like, oh, that sounds like a bunch of bull crap. Hey, don't knock it. Just give it a shot, man. It doesn't hurt. You don't have to do it all the time. Try a couple of different meals. Maybe you like it. One that I like that turned me on to is that you bake some cauliflower with hot wing sauce. So you have like buffalo cauliflower, and that's fantastic.
Well, it sounds like you two have a great bromance going on.
That was not the point of it, Evan.
Speaking of talking about your meals together, so you recently started a YouTube TV show. Is that still going on? Where can people find that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. We still do that every day. That's just for fun, man. The reality is that in OCR hasn't reached the level of which you're gonna make any kind of money or have thousands of people that will watch YouTube for OCR. Like, yes, we get thousands of downloads for podcasts. That's a whole different media. But what's interesting, if you look at other industries, man, is say the video game streamers. Here's guys just doing commentary on video games with millions of subscribers, making a really nice living just commentating on something as simple as video games or any other sport in this world. You think baseball, football, all that stuff. You have people with very successful channels, and we're not there yet, but I think years and years to come from now,
OCR Minute's going to be mainstream.
Yeah. Well, right now, man, it's fun. It's, there's daily news we all see in our feed happening in OCR all the time, and we love to just shoot the breeze about it and talk about our feelings on it. And hey, sometimes we don't even talk about it. We talk about why Victor's so weird for using a spoon to smear stuff onto his sandwiches instead of a knife, like the rest of normal people.
I use a spoon mostly because I don't use it all the time, but sometimes that's the only utensil I have. So I don't purposely take out a spoon. Do you purposely take out a spoon?
He's also special forces, so he can use just whatever he's got around him.
I like to think using the spoon is like using the metric system, and the standard system is the knife. So us Americans are standard; they use knives. The metric people, they're smart people, use spoons.
The metric system does make a ton more sense, although it would be very expensive to switch all of our signs and everything we measure.
Yes, it would be. That's why we haven't done it.
and because it's a big FU to England.
Yeah.
So. Suck it, UK.
Well, yeah. Hey, what's funny is that the more you get into sports, or at least endurance race, or you're running and doing any kind of distance, you do start inherently measuring things in meters. When people ask me, "Oh, how long is that trail?" I'm like, "Oh, it seems about 900, 1,300 meters," instead of say like 3/4 of a mile or something like that. It's weird how that comes about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping it up. Lots of great information on here. So before we go, normally when Brenna's on the show and we have another guest, we do tell us one thing people would be surprised to know about you. So we're going to do it anyway, even though we don't have Brenna, because I have 2 other guests. So let's start off with Victor. Give me something that someone would be surprised to know about you.
I used to be overweight. I used to weigh about close to 220 pounds. So.
Oh, wow.
That's another thing that was hard for me. People were surprised. Like, I used to weigh 220 pounds, and now, like, I'm a athlete that I could compete with some of the best, and there's other people that are out there that are going through that same transition, and like, how did you lose so much weight? How did you get so much faster? It's like, you put in the work, you see the results, and you just keep going with it, not just for a year or two, and it's a whole lifestyle changing. So, yeah. Miles?
And for me, a lot of people don't know this, but I speak
Sorry
Spanish
about that. My
fluently.
daughter stole my headphones for a minute. I missed the last part of your conversation.
Oh, no,
But-
you're
Yeah,
okay.
that is crazy. And I know there's some other. I know Miguel Medina wasn't always super skinny and athletic either,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
I
he
was
used to be
really
a gamer.
surprised to hear.
He used to be overweight too, Miguel.
Yeah, he's all about that World of Warcraft. Me and him have had a many conversation about that.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. He was a big gamer, dude. I love it because I'm still a gamer. That's what I do when I'm down and I'm just recovering and I'm not doing anything at nighttime. My mind races so much like crazy because of the ADHD. I need something to slow it down, and video games will do that at nighttime. So I'll play
So
it.
tell us one
Okay,
thing about you.
so-
Don't get off subject here.
Okay, one thing about myself. I hope I haven't said this before, but I speak Spanish fluently. My ex-wife was Panamanian, and I learned Spanish from there. I was also living in Orlando, where the majority is Puerto Rican, and I spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico. The island has a little special place in my heart. Very beautiful place, very humble, wonderful people, and I speak Spanish fluently. And as a matter of fact, it's the only music I can dance. And for a white boy, I usually can't dance anything, but I'm really good at dancing bachata, merengue, and I'm okay at dancing salsa. All the Mexican music I can't dance, like cumbia, norteño, tejano. I can't dance that at all. I'm horrible at it. But then as soon as it gets back to like American music, if it's hip hop or something, I go full white guy. And
Nice.
just full on white guy. Do you dance at all, Evan?
I do a little bit of dancing. I don't think I'm too bad. So that I'll use that to tie into the one thing, or something that most people don't know about me. So in high school, I used to do drama club and musicals. So I've been in like half a dozen musicals and 5 different drama productions. And one of the productions we did was Anything Goes, which is like tap dancing and singing and all sorts of stuff. And I learned like one breakdance maneuver in that show that I still break out anytime we do a dance thing. And it is it is good. Like every time I do it, people are like, "Oh, that's real good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's part of my deep repertoire, which is basically that one move." So it's pretty good.
That beats the guys who like never learn how to dance at all, and they play Dance Dance Revolution at the mall arcade, and they're still using those moves.
So speaking of the musicals and drama club and stuff like that, the one kind of cool thing, well, one of the guys I used to act with is actually on Broadway, so pretty good stuff there. He was in SpongeBob SquarePants, which I guess is closing now. And then one of the other guys I was used to act with, who's also one of my really good friends, he was in my wedding party. He's also the one who redesigned the strength and speed symbol. So if you look on the website, there's actually 2 different versions. There's one like kind of standard one and one with like a shield on it. He redesigned the one with the shield. He just got nominated for his 3rd Emmy. So he won 2 Emmys in the last 2 years.
You mean a Tony? Isn't
No,
Tony for
so
Broadway?
a little bit off topic. So he is an Emmy because he is a senior editor on the show Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. So
wow.
I saw your post about that, I believe.
Yeah, so he's awesome. Just got nominated for his 3rd Emmy, and kind of a funny story. So the first time he gets nominated, he's like, dude, I just got nominated for an effing Emmy, and he's like, I'm gonna go to the award ceremony, and we're not gonna win, but who the hell cares? Like, that's awesome. And we're like, yeah. And like that night, the night of the Emmys, he sends me a text, and it's just a picture of his hand holding the Emmy, and he's like, WTF! Exclamation point, question mark.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
Did not think he was gonna win. He's won 2 years in a row. He's up for his 3rd nomination. So
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, he set the bar unreasonably high, and we all expect him to win now, and we will boo him incessantly if he loses. So.
You're unfriending him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll unfriend.
Block
I'll be like, I only friend people with 3 or more Emmys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right, I think that about wraps it up. Final shout-outs to sponsors, family, friends, anything you want. Victor, what do you got?
I'll do a sponsored shout out to Human Octane, my compression line gear that they sponsored me this year. I think that's it. I don't have very much shout out.
Oral IV, VYB.
Oh yeah, Oral IV hydration, VYBX for my bracelets for keeping me sane. I mean, there's probably more. I just can't remember.
Yeah, you got
So many sponsors. I can't keep track of it.
I'm the horrible person. I would say Solomon, but they won't sponsor me. So
After this podcast, they will.
oh yeah, Solomon,
I'm sure.
you hear me? I'm ready. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Miles, what do you got?
Just check us out on the Link Endurance podcast.
You're repping another one?
Oh no, we both interchange them. But yeah, hey, on the Link Endurance podcast, I push the strength and speed. I love Evan to death, and this is he has a fantastic podcast, and we all try to.
Link Endurance is one of our media partners for Endure the Gauntlet, so it's okay to represent another podcast.
That's right. Well, you know what's funny, man? I feel like some of the other podcasters think that it's like a competition or something, and just so everyone knows out there, like, we're not making any money off this. Evan, have you ever made any money off the podcast?
I have made some small amounts, and I've gotten some free stuff.
But yeah, free stuff. That's fair. That's fair. But I've never made any money on it. I just do this because I love the sport and the passion. I urge everyone else to chase their passion and chase their passion, find it, and because that feeling of living and having a passion like that is a fantastic feeling.
Oh, awesome. And final shout-outs for me. Again, Muttering Guide's Ultra-OCR Bible available in the Strength and Speed store, so pick that up. Also, down to 2 Bleg mitts left total, so they're size small, so if anyone wants any Bleg mitts, I'd pick those up ASAP. I am working on hopefully getting in another order in before World's Toughest Mudder, or before Toughest Mudder West, when they redo that one. And hopefully those will be in stock soon. But as of now, all I have left is smalls. And I think that's about it. Other than that, Hammer Nutrition. If anyone wants to order any endurance supplements, I highly recommend Perpetuum. I have a code 240887 that'll give you 15% off. I just used them this past weekend at the Dirt Runners 6-hour race, and it's what I use for all my endurance stuff. So check them out. All right, I think that wraps it up.
Your co-host is back.
She finished the snack.
Oh, my other co-host. Yeah, my little co-host. Yes.
Yeah.
So while we've been recording this, my daughter I have an Atlas stone in here that I won at Dirt Runner, and she's been rolling it around the room. I've been trying not to make sure she knocks over furniture or breaks anything.
Hey, that's a cool prize. An Atlas stone? Shoot, man, I'd use that.
And then other than that, she's currently pulling on my headphones, so I am gonna have to do some editing on this. But I'm sure you'll still hear on the background of some of these.
Leave it raw. Yeah, Matt B. Davis gets away with it, man. Leave it raw.
Leave it raw. He orders.
Now, you want that raw when I left and went to get her cheese in the middle of the podcast, and there's like 2 minutes of silence.
I'm pretty sure Matt B. Davis gets away with it. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think you could, yeah.
All right, so that's it. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Later.
No, I won't.
No, I can't leave the Metroplex, remember? Yeah, baby lockdown. I know. You know what's funny? I feel like I need to give that caveat because anytime I tell people I can't leave the Metroplex, it sounds like it's for legal purposes. Like I have an ankle bracelet or something on.
You're on lockdown.
Yeah. Next year, though, would be great, dude.
Will you be at Tulsa?
Yeah, he's doing Endure the Gauntlet. So he's going to do 24 hours of running that Tulsa course. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I did not know. He's seriously 40. Why 48, bro? Holy crap, man.
Suck on that.